I don't want to be rude or mean or anything, but I was at a dinner with this woman who was so obese. She was telling me how she couldn't find any swimwear for girls who are curvy. I thought to myself, oh my God, like you're refusing to live in reality. You're delusional. I am curvy, you are obese. And she kept referring to herself as curvy. Women, they take no accountability and they don't live in reality. She's delusional. It's like Western entitlement. People in the West always think that they are the center of the world and the West is the way that everything should be, but it's not. The level of crime is disgusting and the virtue signaling that we saw around the World Cup was unbelievable. Just don't go. The West is obsessed with imposing its ideologies on all these other countries. Stay in America, stay in Europe. If you don't like it, don't go. Nobody invited you to go and watch the World Cup. I get called a pick-me girl a lot. I don't really care. I'm not. I don't really need to be. I saw yesterday Myron on Fresh and Fit talking about being a pick-me. He made a really interesting point. He was like, yeah, women should be pick-me's. And I was like, damn, yeah, you're right, because there's just not enough men. Right. So you should be a pick-me. If you're a young girl and you want to fight and you want to secure yourself a high-value man, be a pick-me. Show him that you are here, you are ready, and you like everything is a scam. The financial system, feminism, the war on masculinity, they want people to be stuck inside of the matrix, and it's sometimes too painful to even wake up to these realities. I know women, for example, who are 50, 60 years old and have never had any children, never been married. Why? Because society told them that building their career was gonna make them happy. This is actually one of the biggest crimes against humanity, because they never reproduced, because they just dedicated their lives to their career, and it's the saddest thing. Feminism is really one of the greatest crimes against humanity. We need more masculine men, and I want to be clear, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's just toxic individuals. We need masculinity back. We need men who understand their duty, which will then create a beautiful space for women to be feminine, be nurturing, to be kind, to be soft, and raise the next generation. The global elites, the government, whatever you want to call them, they need men to be weak, fat, and compliant. Because when men are weak, fat, and compliant, they're easier to control. And how are they doing this? By feminizing them, by telling them it's okay to be emotional, by telling them to share their feelings. But that's just not going to get you anywhere in life. That's not how a man should be. A man should be strong. A woman should be able to lean on a man. He should be able to provide and protect for her so that she can then raise the next generation and be nurturing, whereas he can then go out and conquer the world and look after and protect her. And so when he is feminized, the government can then come in and take control of the family. There's no leadership anymore. The husband that's supposed to lead the woman and the children in the correct direction. But if there's no leadership, there's a vacuum for the government to come in and tell the family what to do. Toxic masculinity is one of the most evil terms I have ever heard. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's just literally toxic individuals. What it means to be a man is now being branded as toxic, whether it's being competitive, aggressive. We are now teaching boys and men to be softer. They're trying to turn men into women, and I think the reason they want to do this is because it's the men that go to war. It's the men that fight the tyranny. It's not women. We're emotionally not resilient or even physically fit enough to fight the powers that be. It's the men that do that. And so when the men are feminized, the government, those in charge, can get away with whatever the hell they want to get away with. The government, the global elite, whatever you want to call them, they want men to be weak, fat, and compliant, because it's the men that go to war. It's the men that fight. And when you're busy watching porn all day, playing video games all day, eating bugs, you don't have the power in you to go and fight the tyranny. You're just soft and pathetic, sitting on a couch, and you can be controlled, and that's exactly what they want. And women, unfortunately, and I'm happy to say this as a woman, we don't really know any better. We're not emotionally or physically resilient enough to go and fight the tyranny. Men are the ones that can do that. We should be the ones raising the next generation, nurturing the children, while the men go out and protect and provide. But when the men are weak, fat, and compliant, well, then the world is just doomed. Men aren't really masculine anymore. They're not leaders anymore. The media tries to put men down a lot. There's this whole idea of self-deprecation, and it's bad to want to do better. It's bad to want to make more money. You know, all these traditional masculine traits are considered toxic masculinity. And so those traits are traits that I like in a man. So it's very difficult because there's not a lot of men like that. And so I've had this like switch in mentality in the last few years, which was initially women are the prize. We're the prize. I'm the queen bee. But now you realize, well, actually, there's a lot of beautiful women. That's sort of all a woman needs. From like a starting point, okay, she needs to be nice, nurturing, and a bit overall we can teach her. But then with the men, they need a lot more. So that's very difficult to find, unfortunately. I have a lot of amazing male role models in my life, so that ups the standard even more.
Women will go, I'm independent, I don't need no man because I have an OnlyFans and men pay my OnlyFans, and if anyone comes up to me, I'll call a male police officer. I don't need men. Shut up. Of course you do. You just named your whole life is based on men. The road you're driving on was paved by a man. The house you're living in was built by a man. The car you're driving was designed by a man. man. Your whole life depends on men. And the second anything bad were to happen to you, the second you were physically threatened, or times were to get hard, or war were to start, or famine, or riots, the first thing you do is find a big strong man, shit yourself, and throw the feminism out the window.
I do need a man, for example, to, procreate. But other than that, I'm quite strong. And I would find a way to protect myself.
Danava, what would you do if one of these security guards broke into your door?
What would I do? Okay, I'll tell you.
What would you do? No, seriously,
she's a feminist.
I'll tell you. No, I'm not a feminist. I'm not a feminist. I'm a bit smarter.
Sometimes when me and my friends are around a group of guys, they'll intentionally ignore me and only talk to my friends and pretend that I'm not there. And I think it's because they're too nervous to come talk to me because they think I'm cute.
Great session, pal. Yeah, seriously.
Help! Guys!
Hey, I'm not a gym freak. Got a girlfriend,
Help me!
Pretty privilege is really weird to have as an autistic person. Growing up, I didn't know I had pretty privilege because I'm autistic and I couldn't really comprehend that. I was not very well liked as a child, and I thought it was because I wasn't pretty enough. I was constantly changing my clothes and how I looked so that I could fit in better, but it never occurred to me that people didn't like me because of my personality. And now as an adult, people excuse my autistic traits because I'm pretty. I get told, you're too pretty to be autistic, or you're not autistic, you're just quirky. And because I'm autistic, I have a hard time differentiating between people that are genuine and like who I am as a person and want to talk to me, or people that are doing things for me just because I'm pretty.
The reason why the most beautiful women tend to be single is because when you're dangerously pretty, you're regarded as untrustworthy because you don't make dudes feel safe. Not only can you reject most men's advances, you have your pick of the crop, the creme de la creme. Women are the prize in society, so a bad bitch comes with a lot of attention. So oftentimes, they'll play it safe and go for the plain Janes. So while you do get a lot of attention from looking really good, it's never really the attention from the people that you want. It's always the bigger wolves.
Today we're going to talk about pretty privilege. And yes, there are some advantages. However, there are a lot more disadvantages than a lot of people may realize. So let's get into them. It's hard to have female friends because they're either intimidated by you, they're envious of you, or they just flat out want to be you. It's hard to have male friends because the ones that are single start acting weird because they start liking you, and then the ones that are in relationships start acting weird because they're at home fighting with the woman in their life because she's intimidated by the dynamic of y'all's friendship. You don't have very many options in dating because everyone's too afraid to approach you because they feel you have a plethora of options. Men and women can be jealous of the attention you receive, so they go out of their way to try and humble you. You're uncomfortable going anywhere, especially alone, because men tend to see you as this shiny object that they must obtain regardless of how you feel or whether or not you consent. You're completely shut out professionally because people think you're too incompetent to do anything other than apply lip gloss. And it's even more difficult being dark-skinned because you're not deemed attractive unless you look like a supermodel. Even then, you're still a supermodel. You're just one of the less desirable ones.
You know if you get pretty privilege, whether if you're a guy or a girl, if you don't get charged for Trader Joe's paper bags. So I go to this one particular Trader Joe's near UC Berkeley, and I go same day, same time every week or every other week. So I always get the same cashier, like the workers are the same. And I had never gotten charged for a paper bag until yesterday. I went to Trader Joe's looking like a homeless because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to get my groceries and go. Like, I had a hat on, did not dress to impress. And the same cashier charged me 60 cents for the paper bags. And I was like, wait, this is a thing? And it's not even like he knows who I am because we don't talk. Or maybe he does, but I don't know. But I was like, I know that was a thing.
People are probably going to get mad at me for saying this, but pretty girls hang out with pretty girls because you can't take ugly girls places. It's a hard truth, but it's a thing. And if you're considered beautiful by society's standards, you are going to get more opportunities to do things that are outside of the ordinary. This video is not to bash anyone, it's just, it is what it is. It may not be fair, but it's the truth.